Let's take a trip down memory lane and relive the grand spectacle of turf wars that have rocked history. We've got the Jets and Sharks busting moves in West Side Story, while East Coast and West Coast rappers spit fire, battling for hip-hop supremacy. Or how about the Lakers and Celtics going toe-to-toe on the hardwood as Ali and Frazier rumble in the boxing ring? Memorable showdowns to be sure, but perhaps none more iconic and relevant than, hold on tight, where to live in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona, where artsy vibes and sizzling nightlife to the south tango with northerners' lavish golf courses and desert dreams. They're locking horns, each flexing their unique flair in a playful turf war showdown for the history books. It's North versus South. It's right here, it's right now. All right, let's get this battle started. We're talking about living, the difference between living in North Scottsdale versus South Scottsdale. Turf Wars, Part 1. It's the only part we're going to do, actually, because I have 18 different points that I'm going to talk about today. But keep in mind, if you're really legitimately comparing the difference between living in North Scottsdale versus living in South Scottsdale, I'd watch this whole video all the way through. But remember, we now have everything broken down into chapters for you, so you can always fast forward to the parts that you feel are most relevant to you. Now, when we're talking about North versus South, I'm going to break South Scottsdale down into 3 different zip codes. 85257, which is the furthest point to the south. 85251, which many of you know as Old Town Scottsdale or Downtown Scottsdale, and then just to the north of Old Town Scottsdale is 85250. Those are the 3 zip codes we're talking about when we're talking about South Scottsdale. When we're talking about North Scottsdale, I'm talking about zip codes 85255, where you're going to find communities like DC Ranch and Greyhawk, 85262, where you'll find True North and Desert Mountain, and then 85266, where you'll find great communities, master plan communities like Terra Vita and the Boulders. All right, so here we are. We're in beautiful, lush South Scottsdale, and so let's start right here in South Scottsdale with number 1, comparison point number 1, which is home prices. So what you're going to find when you, as you get further north in Scottsdale, as a general rule, from South Scottsdale to North Scottsdale, pricing will go up as you go further to the north. So down here in South Scottsdale, it is going to be far more affordable. In fact, from a median home price standpoint, zip code 85257, again, that furthest zip code to the south, 85257 right now, median home prices are $650,000. Here in Old Town Scottsdale, or 85251, median home prices are $789,000, and then the zip code just to the north, 85250, home prices are $831,000 right now, currently today. By the way, I like to make my videos very evergreen. So right now it's summer 2023. If you're watching this in 2024, the pricing, the only thing on this video that will really change is the pricing. So you can always contact me, just reach out, text, call, email, whatever, and I'll always update you on where current prices are right now today. So here I am, beautiful North Scottsdale. You notice anything different? Down in South Scottsdale, obviously it's lush and green and flat and beautiful. And up here, once you get north of the 101, everything gets very, gets hilly. It's more of a beautiful kind of desert terrain up here. So anyway, just a difference, but we're talking about pricing. Is it better? Home prices, are they better in South Scottsdale or North Scottsdale? Remember I said in the last section, or when we were talking about South Scottsdale, how as you get further north, prices do go up. So the 3 zip codes, again, just as a reminder that I'm talking about when I'm talking about North Scottsdale, I'm talking about 85255, 85262, and 85266. Now, a lot of people don't necessarily refer to just those 3 zip codes. They'll say anything north of Shea is North Scottsdale. I call some of that Central or North Central Scottsdale, depending, or Scottsdale East. I break Scottsdale down into 5 sections. Locals don't love it, but it's much easier for you to understand if you're moving here. So anyway, those 3 zip codes, pricing, what does it look like? Remember, the homes are newer up here. 85255 median home prices right now today, August 2023. Remember, call me for updated pricing, but right now today, median home prices are at 1.4 million. 85255, 85262, 1.5 million, and 85266, 1.5 million. So yes, absolutely, you're paying more. You're getting a different lifestyle up here, which we'll talk about. You're getting more home for your money. You're getting newer. You're getting master planned. Again, we're going to talk about all of that stuff. But absolutely, if we're talking about where the pricing is better, north or south, South Scottsdale gets the check mark. You know, I created Phoenix Homes and Hotspots to connect homes with the lifestyle around those homes using the power of video and community. What's up, everybody? My name is Todd Hall. I'm founder of Phoenix Homes and Hotspots right here in beautiful, sunny Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, if you're moving to the Phoenix Metro or thinking about moving to Phoenix Scottsdale, and you want to know not just where all the great homes are, but what is the community like that surrounds that house, and as well as all the local hotspots in the area, restaurants, shopping, hiking, golf, whatever it might be, you've come to the right spot. We're going to connect all the dots for you. And listen, if you're coming out to the Phoenix Metro, you want to do some of our homes and hotspots tours, all you got to do is give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. That way we can be your key to AZ. All right, now I'm back here in South Scottsdale. Let's go to comparison point number 2, and that is location. Which is better, north or south for location? Well, I will tell you this, here in South Scottsdale, the proximity to everything, I mean, you're right in the heart of everything. Right now, I'm standing in the Scottsdale waterfront, which is right in the heart of Old Town Scottsdale. If you're looking for the best location in terms of getting around the valley, or at least, or possibly just having things around you, which we're going to talk about in a point further, but with this one, just getting around the valley and having access, really hard to beat down here. In fact, if I were to pick the center point of Phoenix Metro, it would be just a little bit to the west of where I'm at right now. So I'm not very far from the center point. You have great freeway access. You have the 101 freeway to the east of where I stand right now that runs north up to North Scottsdale, then curves. It's a 101 loop, so it curves to the west over to North Phoenix, Glendale, Peoria, and then curves again south down into cities like Avondale. So really great access from a freeway standpoint. That same 101 goes south down into the East Valley. So you have cities like Tempe, Mesa, Chandler, and then you can have access over to cities like Gilbert as well. So if we're talking location from a standpoint of just really getting around the valley, I like South Scottsdale a lot. Let's see what North Scottsdale has to offer. All right, so we know the South Scottsdale location is great. What about here in North Scottsdale? The answer is it really depends. If you're in 85255 in communities like DC Ranch or Grayhawk, where you're just a few minutes off the 101 freeway, you still have great access to the 101. Yes, we're further north, so it takes longer to get down to the East Valley if you're going 101 south. If you're going but it's quicker to get over to the north side of the West Valley because you're up on the north side. So again, if you go 101 west, you can get over to North Phoenix very quickly, as well as cities like Peoria and Glendale. Now, if you're further north, like say Desert Mountain up in 85262, it could take 15-20 minutes just to get south down to the nearest freeway, which is the 101. And so then your access isn't so great. So a little bit of it depends, even though if you're in North Scottsdale in say DC Ranch as an example, you got to give the check mark because the location is so good in South Scottsdale, that check mark's got to go to South Scottsdale. Ooh, this is a good one. Lifestyle. What is the lifestyle between north and south? What was a better fit for you? Well, so let's talk about South Scottsdale here and the lifestyle. You see a guy running right behind me right now. Very active, regardless whether it's north or south, by the way. People here in Scottsdale are very active out in the outdoors. The benefit down here from a lifestyle standpoint is it's much more urban in South Scottsdale. So if you're the type of person that you like to be surrounded by lots of people, lots of things to do, you don't mind a little bit more traffic and some of those types of things, then the South Scottsdale location might be the right one for you. Let's see what's going on up in North Scottsdale. All right, so let's compare the lifestyle up here on the north side. North Scottsdale is much more serene. Again, you can see up here, it's not as urban, it's much more dense, has a little bit of, it's not rural by any stretch. It's all communities. You just have more stretch of desert. So everything's more spread out, has a little bit more of a rural feel up here. So for that reason, somebody that's looking for a little bit more of a calm, laid back, retired type of lifestyle, they tend to lean a little bit more towards this area up to the north. So the answer is, I'm not going to give a check mark on this one because the answer really depends. Do you like an urban lifestyle, or do you like to have a little bit more privacy, a little bit more tranquil calmness to your life? And so the answer on this one really depends on what your individual lifestyle is. So no check marks. Both have fantastic lifestyles depending on what you're looking for. I've been here in Scottsdale for 20 years, over 20 years now. Moved into one of these South Scottsdale neighborhoods as my very first neighborhood. And so one of the things that's changed a lot are the demographics. And so if you have a family and you're comparing North Scottsdale versus South Scottsdale, and you're like, hey, which one is more family oriented? I will tell you that the demographics have changed a lot in both. So let's talk about South Scottsdale first. My first house was here in South Scottsdale in a neighborhood called Southwest Village. All the homes were built in the 1950s. All the homes down in this area are older. All the homes were built in the 1950s, and my neighbors were all, 60, 70 years old. They were the original owners of their homes when I moved here in 2004. Now you're seeing a lot of these communities down here in South Scottsdale flip. You have investors going in, they're buying the homes, they're fixing them, they're rehabbing them. Sometimes they're tearing them down and building them back up in contemporary style. And so you're seeing now that the demographic down here has shifted tremendously. There's in fact, this is the only area of Scottsdale where you're going to find a demographic in the mid to upper 30s in terms of age. So now there's still seniors mixed in. If you're a senior and you're considering South Scottsdale and you like an urban lifestyle, absolutely could still be a great spot for you. But now, since we're talking specifically about families, this is a really great area and a really popular and trendy area for families to move into here in South Scottsdale. North Scottsdale, let's go check it out. Okay, so is North Scottsdale family friendly? The answer is absolutely. One of the reasons, and we're going to get to this, is that the schools are better up here. But what I'm seeing is that communities like in 85255, again, I'll go back to DC Ranch and Greyhawk, you're seeing age demographics kind of in the mid 40s, which is really that business professional family demographic. Now again, there's seniors mixed in. You're always going to get mixes in Scottsdale, regardless of where you are. As you get further north, as a general rule, that demographic does get older. However, even up in Desert Mountain, which is kind of your furthest community up to the north, even up in Desert Mountain, I'm seeing over the last several years, probably 5-6 years, that age demographic has started to come down. You're starting to see more families move into those neighborhoods. So the answer is yes. There are some really great family-friendly communities up here, so long as you can afford that higher price point that we talked about, and you'll also find that the schools are a little bit better. Overall, I'm going to say, because there's probably more families in South Scottsdale, I'm going to go ahead and give the check mark, if you will, to South Scottsdale on this one. But either way, you can't go wrong, just depending again on the lifestyle that you're looking for. So some people really like historic type neighborhoods. They like older ranch style homes built in the 1950s and 60s. And some people like homes that were built with more of a contemporary style and flair. So here in South Scottsdale, what you're going to find is you're going to find homes that were built primarily in the 1950s and 1960s between the 3 zip codes. So they are an older style home. Now again, as I mentioned in the previous section, a lot of these homes have been completely remodeled, rebuilt, and from the outside, they still look like 1950s style homes. You walk inside, they look like a brand new model home. So with that being said, home style, I have clients that, from a lifestyle standpoint, South Scottsdale can be a great fit for them, but they're like, you know what, Todd, I don't want a house built in the 1950s. I like, the straight lines and the contemporary style architecture. And so we move them to North Scottsdale. But anyway, if you like kind of older historic, the other thing that you're going to find down here, by the way, are high-rise condos and mid-rise condos. Okay, so you'll have anywhere from the older condos to the really nice, beautifully built modern condos as well. So all of that is available to you down here in South Scottsdale. So we said as you get further north in Scottsdale, homes get newer. That's exactly what you can expect in terms of the home styles up here. But you're going to have, in terms of the styles themselves, instead of just that ranch style, kind of that one-story flat ranch style, 1950s, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot, at least originally. A lot of them have been built onto now. But up here, you're going to have all kinds of styles of homes. In fact, if you watch my DC Ranch video, I do an entire spread of my living and playing in DC Ranch of 6 different styles of homes just in that DC Ranch golf community. And so you're going to find anywhere from contemporary to Mediterranean, Pueblo style homes, you name it, but they are newer up here. So if newer, larger homes, in some cases on much larger lots, depending, that's not always the case, but in some cases, much larger lots. If that's what you're looking for, then you're going to like the North Scottsdale. So again, this is one of those, depends on what you're looking for in terms of home style. Neither has an advantage. In terms of, in my mind, it depends. It's all completely personalized to what your needs are. You know, I've been in the real estate business now since 1999, so I know your pain points. And the number one pain point is finding the right real estate consultant to work with, but the other one is finding the right loan broker. Now listen, I haven't told very many people this, but my first couple of years in the business, I almost left the business. And it was because there were things in a real estate transaction that I personally couldn't control. And that number one thing was that my loan brokers that I was referring my clients to were dropping the ball. Couldn't have been more frustrating. So I know if it was frustrating for me, it's frustrating for you. Look, you need somebody that's going to give you the best communication. They're going to do what they say they do. They close your loan on time, but also they give you the best pricing, the lowest interest rates, and the lowest closing costs without having to haggle with them. The loan team I work with now, I've been working with since 2005. They are the best of the best of the best. My clients thank me every time they use them. If you want them as well on your team, you want to be on our team, you know what to do. Pick up the phone, give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email, and I'll make sure you get hooked up with the best team here in the Phoenix Metro. Now listen, let's get back to this video. All right, next up is condos, townhomes. Let's talk about South Scottsdale first. South Scottsdale, originally 20 years ago when I moved here, there was no, there were condos and townhomes down there, but they were all the older, again, the stuff that was built in the 50s and 60s. Now South Scottsdale has really become an amazing hub, and for just that urbanization hub for beautiful new condos, including the Scottsdale waterfront, Optima Camelview, and some other really great projects that have gone in or that are going in right now as we speak. So it's a great haven down there in South Scottsdale for condos, townhomes. As you get further north, you're not going to find as many condos and townhomes. Most of them will be in this area that I sit right now, which is Troon. I'm in the Troon Village area, so kind of between Troon Village and Troon North, and then moving south down into the DC Ranch, Greyhawk areas, you're going to find a decent amount of condos and townhomes right in here. As you get further, if you push further north, there's less inventory of condos and townhomes. So I'm going to give the edge on this one to South Scottsdale. All right, restaurants, shopping, nightlife. You like to get out, you like to meet people, you like to experience, have great experiences in restaurants, you're a night owl. What's better, north or south? Well, I will tell you, here in South Scottsdale, you're in the epicenter of Scottsdale entertainment. In fact, right here in Old Town Scottsdale, there's 120 different restaurants to choose from right here in this area. And oh, by the way, if you move just to the west, down Camelback Road, just to the west, you have the Arcadia neighborhood going over towards Biltmore. Between Arcadia and Biltmore, tons more great restaurants. So you just have some of the best restaurants in Arizona right here at your fingertips within minutes in some cases. In some cases, it might be in walking distance from your home to get to some of the best restaurants. As far as shopping, here in Old Town Scottsdale, you have the largest shopping mall in the state of Arizona. That's the Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall. Just to the south of that, you have the Fifth Avenue shops, and then you have the old historic downtown Scottsdale, or the real, what's considered Old Town Scottsdale, where you have a lot of different types of shops down there as well. all completely different styles of shopping. I have an entire video that I've done on shopping that you can check out if you want to get a sense and flavor for what it looks like. I also have videos that I've shot. In fact, I have an entire playlist of Old Town Scottsdale videos that you can check out so you can get a better sense for what the shopping looks like down here. And then as far as nightlife, you have Scottsdale Road, where you have patio bars sitting right on Scottsdale Road, and then you have the entertainment district, which is a big square of nightclubs. So everything, again, here in Old Town Scottsdale is right at your fingertips. All right, what does the entertainment look like up here? Restaurants, shopping, nightlife. Look, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here. South Scottsdale is the epicenter of entertainment, restaurants, shopping in Arizona. The challenge up here, and again, it depends on where you're at. If you're in 85255, where you have close freeway access, then you have some good access to restaurants 15, 20 minutes away down on Scottsdale Road or some other areas. You also have the DC Market Street, so there's some really nice restaurants in that area. As you get further north, up into 85262 and 85266, you do have some restaurants up in the Cave Creek cities of Cave Creek and Carefree. You're just not going to have as many options. So on this one, guys, hands down, South Scottsdale gets the thumbs up on this one. So if you know Scottsdale, you know that what everybody talks about when coming to Scottsdale is where is the best golf. So where do you want to live, north or south? Well, here in South Scottsdale, I will tell you that you have access to golf all over the valley. It doesn't matter where you live, whether you live in Scottsdale, whether you live in the East Valley, the West Valley, you're always going to be surrounded by some really good golf courses. Here in South Scottsdale, I would tell you there's not a lot of golf courses right here in these zip codes. There are a few, but they're not the best of the best. So here in South Scottsdale, if you want to get to the best golf courses, the golf courses that everybody talks about, you're going to get in the car and you're going to drive a little bit. Is it that far? No, 15, 20 minutes will get you to some of the best, some of those best golf courses. So where are the best golf courses? Let's go see what's going on up north. Come on, golf, really? Do I have to answer this one? North Scottsdale. I mean, whether you're looking for, most of you are not going to be looking for private golf courses because you're not a member. However, if you want to become a member, there's some amazing private golf courses, but beyond, and by the way, I shoot an entire video. I have an entire video that you can check out with all the private golf courses up here in North Scottsdale with membership fees, wait lists, and all that. I do update that on a frequent basis, not evergreen, but you can always contact me for updated pricing. However, forget about the private golf because the public golf course, a lot of these public golf courses are just as nice, if not nicer than some of the private golf courses. So yeah, North Scottsdale, when people think of golf in Arizona, they think of North Scottsdale. North Scottsdale on golf all the way. We've already said it, Scottsdale is an outdoor city. People love being outdoors here in the city of Scottsdale and here in the Phoenix Metro in general, but Scottsdale is such an amazing outdoor city. So let's talk about hiking. Where are the best places to hike? Is there any hiking down here in South Scottsdale? Absolutely. Right now, I can see Camelback Mountain from where I stand. Old Town Scottsdale sits in the shadows of Camelback Mountain, which has two fantastic hiking trails. The Cholla, which is on the east side of the mountain, closer to Old Town Scottsdale, and then over in Paradise Valley, towards the west side of the mountain, you have Echo Canyon. A little bit more difficult hikes, by the way. The first third, most people can handle. As you start to get towards the middle, to the top of those hikes, they get a lot more challenging. Echo Canyon being the more challenging of the two. So there's something for everyone. You may not hike the whole thing and still be able to hike Camelback, or if you're an experienced hiker and really want that extreme workout, you're not going to beat Camelback Mountain in very many places down here. Just to the west of Camelback Mountain, over in Phoenix, you also have Piestewa Peak, which is a really nice hiking trail. It has some nice hiking trails on that particular mountain as well. So, some pretty good hiking down here. What's going on the north side? Any hiking up there to talk about? Hiking in North Scottsdale. You see that big, beautiful peak right over my shoulder right there? That is Pinnacle Peak. It's an amazing little hiking trail. I think it's 2.5 miles, I believe. Again, I have an entire video I shot from Pinnacle Peak and showcasing some of the North Scottsdale neighborhoods from that peak right back there, from that mountainside. But anyway, look, there's a lot of great hiking up here. Where in South Scottsdale, you have really Camelback Mountain, which is right there. You have some other hiking that we talked talked about in the vicinity. But up here, right in this area, you have Pinnacle Peak, which is a moderate hike. Most people, I shouldn't say anybody, but most people can do that entire hike that's there behind me. So not real extreme. You also have the McDowell Sonoran Preserve, or the Gateway Trails just to the south. You have Tom's Thumb just to the north of where I'm at right now. And so, yeah, the hiking, look, it's a toss-up. It really depends. I would say the hiking is a little bit easier in North Scottsdale. There are more options up here, but the Camelback Mountain trails are pretty great as well. If I have to give an edge to one or the other, I'm going to give the slightest edge to North Scottsdale. It's funny, I have several clients that have moved specifically to Scottsdale for biking. Now, some of them have moved to South Scottsdale and some of them have moved to North Scottsdale because it's two different biking experiences. So which one is better? Well, here in South Scottsdale, what you're gonna find is everything is really flat down here. You're not gonna find, yeah, you have Camelback Mountain close by, but as far as the south side of Scottsdale, the terrain is very flat. The landscape is very level. And so some of the best biking trails are gonna be exactly that. They're gonna be easy trails to ride, and you can ride for miles upon miles. Just in McCormick Ranch, just to the north, which is more like the central or what you might call Midtown Scottsdale. I sometimes refer to it as Midtown. You have 30 plus miles of biking trails just through that community in itself. But down here in South Scottsdale, you have several trails. In fact, there's one right next to me. You can see it right behind me. I've seen people running and biking on this trail behind me as I shoot these videos. And so that's one of the trails. Now this trail leads down the canal all the way over to the Scottsdale Greenbelt. Scottsdale Greenbelt runs from South Scottsdale up into kind of north central Scottsdale. It's an 11-mile trail. The same trail, by the way, also goes down to Tempe Town Lake. So it's much longer than 11 miles, but it's 11 miles just in Scottsdale alone. So anyway, if you're looking for biking and you like just flat where you can get out with the family, with your kids, ride bikes, it's a very easy ride, then South Scottsdale might be the choice. So is there biking in North Scottsdale? And if so, what does it look like? The answer is absolutely yes. In fact, this is where in South Scottsdale, you're gonna find kind of your recreational bikers or kind of your families and stuff. Up here, people take their biking seriously. You have these guys with their $8,000 racing bikes up here riding these rolling hills that you'll find up here in this Troon Village, Troon North area. You're gonna see a lot of bike riders, and they're decked out with their helmets. And in a lot of cases, they're 60, 70 years old. So it's not like they are competing, but they're competing with themselves. They're having a lot of fun, and they're getting their exercise. They get their 20, 30 miles in up here on the rolling hills. Now, the other thing that differentiates North Scottsdale is you do have some mountain biking trails up here as well. So you have opportunities to not only street bike and use these hills as exercise, but do some mountain biking. So since you have different types of biking in North Scottsdale, I'm going to give that slight edge again to North Scottsdale. Hey, if you haven't gotten enough here on this YouTube channel and you want more great content on what to do while you're visiting the Phoenix Metro, I just created a new Facebook group. It's called Scottsdale Communities and Hotspots. So when you're done here, head over there. I'm going to show you all the top hotspots in and around Scottsdale, Arizona, from restaurants, nightlife, shopping, golfing, hikes, special events coming to town. I'm going to do some video walkthroughs with local owners and them walking you through their hotspot. And you're going to get lots of great local residents and their recommendations for what you should do while you're visiting here in the Phoenix Metro. So again, when you're done here, head over to the Facebook group, Scottsdale Communities and Hotspots. We'll see you over there. As the battle continues, let's talk about who has the best parks, South Scottsdale or North Scottsdale. Earlier we talked about family friendly. One of the things that makes South Scottsdale so family friendly is the access to some really great parks down here. And when I talk about great parks, I mean they have it all, from aquatic centers to kids playgrounds, trails to ride bikes on, sand volleyball, basketball, soccer fields, baseball fields, dog parks. So down here you have Chaparral Park, which has all of that. You also have parks like El Dorado, and again, these parks have aquatic centers. You have Frisbee golf out on the Greenbelt. So the cool thing, we talked about the Greenbelt in the last section, the Scottsdale Greenbelt runs right through these parks. And so you have access to those biking and jogging trails on the Greenbelt. You have skate parks down here, frisbee golf courses. So really, with the greenbelt and the access to the parks off of the greenbelt, some pretty nice options. By the way, just to the north of where I'm at right now, you also have the McCormick-Stillman Railroad Park, which is a fantastic afternoon for the kids and the family to go out and check out the museums over there, ride the trains, and hang out in that particular park. So kind of hard to beat down here. Let's see what the north side has to offer. Up here on the north side, you're going to find parks, but a lot of the parks, in these 3 zip codes anyway, are going to be specific to the community. Little community parks, neighborhoods, grassy areas, where down in South Scottsdale, you have those big elaborate parks connected to the greenbelt. So hands down, South Scottsdale when it comes to parks. Who comes to Scottsdale to fish? Nobody. But you can do it. It doesn't mean there's not fishermen here. You can absolutely fish down here in Scottsdale. In Old Town Scottsdale, fishing is not too bad. There's actually, we're going to go back to that greenbelt again. We're going to talk a lot about the greenbelt and the parks. Attached to that in Chaparral Park, there is a fishing lake that's stocked a couple times a year with some pretty nice fish. In fact, you have, between the 3 zip codes down here, you have, is it 3 fishing lakes? 3, maybe 4, at least 3, maybe 4 lakes that you can fish in down here. So fishing is pretty good, especially in the months where it's not crazy hot. Although this time of year here in the summer months, people will be out there on those fishing lakes as well. By the way, some of those lakes you can even have small boats on, not motorboats and that type of thing, but you can even get out there on the boat. So some pretty cool fishing opportunities down here in South Scottsdale. I know, it still seems weird, right? Fishing in Scottsdale. Who comes to Scottsdale to fish? But again, you have the opportunity to do it. The only thing up here in North Scottsdale is, if you want to fish up in North Scottsdale, you got to go to South Scottsdale because you don't really have fishing lakes in these zip codes. Now, if you're far enough north, up near Desert Mountain, way up to the north side, then you have decent access. I mean, you're pretty close to like Bartlett and some of those like Bartlett Reservoir and some areas up there where you can do some fishing. You're still 40 to 45 minutes away. So since fishing is right in Old Town Scottsdale, it definitely gets the edge here. Now, we talked a little bit earlier about the demographics in terms of who lives in South Scottsdale, who lives in North Scottsdale, but let's have a little bit deeper dive. Let's take a little bit deeper dive into that. Here in South Scottsdale, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of this used to be a lot older. It used to, like I said, I mean, a lot of the people were original homeowners from homes built in the 1950s. Now you're starting to see that younger crowd move in, more of a young family type of crowd. Again, as I mentioned, doesn't mean that there's not room and place for seniors down here. Seniors love this area. But it just means that it's become a lot more balanced than it once was. You also have a lot of these mid-rise condos coming in, which is bringing in some of that younger demographic. So the cool thing about Scottsdale in general is it doesn't matter where you go, north or south, you're going to get a pretty even mix. But it's definitely a different feel down here in Old Town as opposed to up on that north side. So as far as the people up here on the north side, obviously we know housing prices are more, and so you're going to have a little bit more of an affluent crowd up here, a little bit wealthier crowd, which also increases that age demographic a little bit as well. So that's the big difference between South Scottsdale and North Scottsdale. I'm going to call this one a toss-up. It really depends, again, on where you want to live. But as far as age, demographics, and the people themselves, who you want to surround yourself by, I think the rest of this video is giving you a pretty good sense. So I'm going to call this one a toss-up. So who has the better communities, north or south? Down here in south, if you like master plan communities, you're going to find a lot of master plan down here. Remember, we talked about homes earlier. Most of these homes were built in the 1950s and 60s. So if you like master planned, this isn't the area. If you like something that's more historic, has more of a historic feel to it, then yeah, you're going to love these communities. No gates. Some people want a gate. Some people do not want a gate. Some people are neutral. They don't care one way or the other. But very few of these communities are going to have gates. They're not master planned. Now, of course, again, I mentioned that we do have some of the condos and stuff that we'll talk about here shortly, but As far as just single family residence communities themselves, pretty simple, but kind of cool from a historic standpoint as well. So where South Scottsdale had all the historic neighborhoods, not gated, not necessarily master planned, complete opposite in North Scottsdale. North Scottsdale are your contemporary homes like we talked about earlier, but here a lot of your, not all of them, but a lot of your communities are gated up here, and a lot of them are master planned. Again, not all of them. You're definitely going to find some pockets. If you're not a master planned community type person, by the way, if you're a non-HOA type of person, you want to live in North Scottsdale, you can absolutely do that. It doesn't mean everything up here is gated, everything is master planned. You're just going to find more of it. So again, this one's a toss-up. It really just depends on, you know, from a community standpoint, you know, what it is that you're looking for. So we'll call communities a toss-up. So you like to have different events. You like to have different things going on around you throughout the year. Well, the cool thing is Scottsdale, as a general rule, has tons and tons of activities and events throughout the year. But the question is, where are you going to find more, south or north? Well, here in South Scottsdale, again, since you're right in the heart of kind of the urban epicenter of Arizona, you're going to have a lot of different things happening down here throughout the year. Things like the Culinary Festival, which, by the way, hasn't happened for the last couple of years. They just rebuilt the Civic Center Park that takes place in. Hopefully that's coming back soon. You have, right here on the street that I'm on right now, you have art festivals that happen throughout the year. When big events like Super Bowls and national championship games come to the Phoenix Metro and take place over in the West Valley in Glendale, is where the games take place, the football games, but all the parties take place, and you know, ESPN sets up right here in Old Town Scottsdale. So lots of events, lots of festivities, lots of fun things happening down here throughout the year. So as far as events, you're going to have community events in North Scottsdale. You're not, you know, for specific, you know, master plan communities. As a general rule, you're gonna, if you want to go to different events taking place around Scottsdale, you're gonna travel south. Whether it's South Scottsdale or whether it's down to the Talking Stick, kind of the Salt River Fields and Talking Stick area, you're not necessarily going to have a lot of big events happening, at least in these three zip codes. Now, of course, you have the Waste Management Phoenix Open and Barrett Jackson, but again, those are a little bit to the south of the three zip codes that I'm talking about. They're not in these zip codes. So for that reason, definitely going with South Scottsdale as far as events that happen throughout the year. You know, one of the things people tell me when they first get to Scottsdale and they start touring with me, touring homes and hotspots, is one of the first things they comment on is how clean this city is. It doesn't matter if we're touring homes up north, south, mid, east. It always comes up, and it almost always comes up within the first 5 minutes. So down here in South Scottsdale, it is clean. I'm looking around right now. I don't see one piece of trash anywhere. The city does a fantastic job maintaining it. But just remember, it is a little bit older. It is a little bit more congested, more crowded. So if there was a side of the Scottsdale between North and South that's more clean than the other, would South be it? I don't know. Let's find out. As far as cleanliness, you know, as I mentioned, all of Scottsdale is pretty clean for what it is. But since North Scottsdale is a little bit more removed from that urbanization that you'll find in South Scottsdale, not quite the population, and a more affluent crowd up here, certainly, you know, it's pristine up here. And so as far as cleanliness is concerned, the edge definitely goes to the North Scottsdale side. One of the big stories happening around the country right now is a lot of these major inner cities being troubled with a lot of crime. So what does Scottsdale look like when it comes to crime? Well, down here in South Scottsdale, I will tell you, Scottsdale in general, by the way, is below the national average across the board, well below the national average in terms of crime. Down here in Scottsdale, for violent crimes, we're way below the national average. In terms of smaller crimes like theft and those types of things, a little closer to the national average, not above. Probably for most, there's a lot of resources you can look at, but most resources would have us at or just slightly below the national average when it comes to smaller crimes down here in the South Scottsdale region. So how about crime? Let's talk quickly about crime in North Scottsdale. The reality is, it's not very much. So where I said South Scottsdale is way below the national average for violent crimes, as is North Scottsdale. The difference is in South Scottsdale, it's more on par with the national averages with theft and some of those types of crimes, where in North Scottsdale it's still well below the national average. And a big reason for that is what we've talked about already with, a lot of these communities being master plan gated communities, a more affluent crowd, not quite as urbanized as South Scottsdale. So for all those reasons, 100% advantage goes to North Scottsdale when it comes to crime. All right, rounding it out, finishing it up, coming down that final stretch here in Scottsdale, let's talk about schools. I told you, I don't like the schools in South Scottsdale. I have no issue telling you that. I don't like the way they're rated. I don't like the schools in general. When you look at the not just their ratings, but achievements, reading and math, I just don't like them. I wouldn't send my kids there. And so it doesn't mean I wouldn't live there. I actually, by the way, I've never told you guys this, I do live there. But I wouldn't send my kids to school. I don't send my kids to school there. We are beneficiaries of the school choice program here, and we do go to a completely different school district. My kids go to a completely different school district, and we use an open enrollment. The first year we used an open enrollment process to do that. Now they're members of the school, so we don't have to do that every year. Once you're in, you're in. But anyway, with that being said, as you get further north, the schools get better. Not just the public schools, but you run into more good private schools. You also run into some really good public charter schools. The Great Hearts Academies have several locations, or multiple, I should say, not several, but multiple locations on the north side. There's lots of options for your kids in schools. And so 100%, like if there's a definitive, like North Scottsdale just kicks butt over South Scottsdale, schools is definitely the one.
Hey, did you like that video? Show me some love. Hit the like button down below, drop a comment, let me know what your thoughts were. Then be sure you subscribe and tap that alert bell. And from there, I'm gonna do all the heavy lifting for you. We'll create the content. We will notify you every time we create new popular videos right here on Phoenix Homes and Hotspots. And then check the description below. I have some other related videos down there, or you can check out two of my most popular videos right here.